and yada 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 yada, because 95% of the cars imported in this country come from North America. So that's Canada and the US. All right. Then you have some coming in from Belgium. You have some also coming in from Spain, and one or two from the UK, but not too many. But anyway, you get the drift. So this is where it gets interesting. So the forex is affecting car and the car businesses. But what is affecting the supply chain right now is on the global scale. Back in 2020, when COVID hit, factories were shut. Why were factories shut? Yes, you have to stay at home, but it led to a chip shortage. Many of the vehicles, brand new vehicles today, are like computers. We're basically driving computers these days. The computing power of most vehicles is much more than the space shuttle was used to go to the moon. No joke. It's that serious today. Now the factories are open. The manufacturers have had a lot of demand. They've now bought them. Now let's cue back. Forgive this long story. Let's cue back to the US in 2021, 2022, right? The government had stimulus to boost the economy. They gave bailouts to big companies. Car companies were included as well. And so people had money. They wanted cars. So you found out in America, people were paying up to $15,000 more for their vehicles. That was back then because they needed new vehicles. Now, this is 2023. They cannot buy new vehicles because when people buy new vehicles in America, the used vehicles get shipped down to Nigeria and Ghana and Tanzania and Uganda, right? They cannot buy these new vehicles because a vehicle that was sold or that should be sold for $25,000 on average or $15,000 in some places is now being retailed for $45,000. They can't make payments. And unlike Nigerians who like to buy their cars outrightly in the US, people either lease their vehicles or they make instrumental payments. They make a down payment and then they have monthly payments. They take bank loans and that's how they pay for their vehicles. Now, the repo Armageddon is here. The banks are not going to people, hey, you've not paid your car payment or your car loan. If you don't pay in the next 2 months, we will seize your car. Okay. Banks are now repossessing vehicles in America. But it doesn't stop there, because when banks repossess the car, the banks have to sell the cars. There's a big crisis. I'm just spending time sharing this with you. They go repossess the car and then they are meant to sell the car. The problem is because there is a big financial strain in the US and all over the world, inflation, people don't want to spend money buying a vehicle. People are holding on to their vehicles. They're holding on to their vehicles. They're not selling it. So you don't have a lot of cars coming down to Africa as they used to any longer. People are spending $50,000 on vehicles that ought to have been sold for $20,000, $25,000. Okay, now comes the one that affects you as a Nigerian, ladies and gentlemen. The very popular Camry, Big Daddy, that some people, and also the Corolla 2005, 2008, a lot of people used for their e-hailing services, right? Used to be sold back about 7-8 years ago for 1.8 to 1.9 million naira, depending on how great the car is. Today, ladies and gentlemen, please, in the US, that car is sold for $1,000. $1,000 if it's in good condition. If it's not in good condition, I'm not joking, you would find that car in some lots for $400 or $250. That's where you find that car. But the problem is, when you ship that car to Nigeria, the marketers and the businessmen who I spoke to say sometimes they have to spend as much as 1 million naira to clear a car they bought for $700 or $800. It does not make sense. Then you go to Tinkan Island, you go to Lagos, and you come to Benin. By the time the car gets to all the show stands around, they're selling for 3 million, 3.1 million naira today. There is a crisis. People, middle class people who would love to get cars are not getting vehicles. They would like to buy, but it's too expensive. My question is, what policies do you think would you like to have the Nigerian government put in place to stem this flow. And with this very long essay of mine, I'd like to welcome you to Hello Port Harcourt.
And now, Hello Port Harcourt with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, very quickly before we're going to grade 017-923-0002, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0003 at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. All right, WhatsApp. Interestingly, I'm getting some messages already. WhatsApp is 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. That's WhatsApp and Telegram. All right, let me read this message very, very quickly. All right, before we get on. We have a break coming up very shortly. Please do indulge me. I had to give you all the background story and the reports, and I'll give you more data as we go on. This one says, Jude, now to buy, get private jets, they fly cars, come remain now for Naija. This one says, hi, Jude, good morning. Did you ever sell cars? How come you know so much about vehicles? I'm going to go on a break. I'll answer that question when we return, right? We're talking about the car crisis in this country and what policies do you think should be enforced?
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
Number 1001 reason to love Golden Penny pasta. It's rich in protein. Number 1002 contains fiber. Number 1003, it tastes great.
Golden Penny pasta. Great taste, good nutrition.
is Hello Port Harcourt. My name is Jude, the dude on Mamigbe. This moment we're talking about the car crisis in this country, indeed on the African continent, indeed all over the world. Now, I bring you stats from back in 2018 by country. Nigeria imported around 239,000 used vehicles in 2018. This was the highest number among the selected African countries of Libya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Ghana also included. So here we have the graph in front of me. Nigeria had the most cars with 238,000. Libya following with 161,000. Tanzania with 125,000. Guinea with 81,000. And then Ghana, all right, with 80,104. This was back in 2018. But this is where there's a bit of a mix-up right now, because if you get to read the data, beyond the data, the NBS, as National Bureau of Statistics, says the vehicle imports rose by 708%. But the stakeholders disagree. This is on the cable newspaper. You can go online and check. Now, the data from NBS, that's National Bureau of Statistics, shows that the nation's used vehicle market boomed in the second quarter of 2023. With the value of imports reaching 728 billion naira, right? 728 billion naira. However, the importers, the car businessmen, the car lot stands are saying that data doesn't tell the entire story. There have been complaints about the clearance procedures and how the delays would lead to demurrages being incurred by those businessmen, who then have to, as you would expect, transfer those charges to you, the end buyer, the end user. And then there's also the Lagos, whole road clearing thing. The ports don't have great equipment. How many of you have seen vehicles being brought down from containers? It looks like a demonstration in how not to do something right. That's how it is. Because sometimes when they are bringing the car from the container, you are meant to use a forklift, right? But a lot of the times, many Nigerians will drive the car out of the container. They put very thick, wooden planks from the tip of the containers down. Some cases, some people have mechanized systems to do that. Those are the challenges these men and women in the business are complaining about. But the biggest issue here is that number doesn't reflect the number of vehicles. The stats say 720 something billion. The markets are saying it just means that the cars are more expensive, but fewer people are buying, in quotes, Tokumbo cars, that's direct Belgium, like to call them, direct used cars from the US. Fewer people are buying those cars. Instead, the cars are now rotating inside Nigeria more frequently. People are now buying Nigeria used vehicles. And like I said earlier on, a car that was sold for 3.5 million naira 7 years ago, that same car going through the wear and tear. Some people have maybe even, changed the rings in their engines. The leather has worn through. It's not in great shape. They are selling a car today for the same amount, 3.5 million. There's a crisis, because one of the indicators that you are doing well, as in quote unquote, the middle class, is that you're able to afford a vehicle. That vehicle is a status symbol. You've arrived. Then, you buy 2 or 3 more. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a conversation, shall we?
Views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
So 017-923-0003, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0007. WhatsApp and Telegram available on 08090306416, 08090306416. That's where you find us on WhatsApp and on Telegram at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. So if you're listening to us and you are a car dealer, or you are planning on buying a car, or you just bought a car, please tell us how much you paid for it, where you got it from, and what you tend to do with the car this morning. This one here on WhatsApp says that the government simply steals and milks the masses. It's wrong. It's unfair. What do I know? Ibiso is speaking to us from Audley Road. Ibiso, good morning to you, please.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Somebody asked me whether are you a car dealer? In those days, your friend would used to go to Lagos and to buy car.
Yes,
so
we have.
You have the experience.
We have.
My brother, if somebody bought a car maybe 7 years ago for 3.5 million and he's selling it today for 3.5 million, to me, I will check the car very well. If, for example, I used to say this thing: anybody that is selling car from me, from LNG Bonnet, good, I will dance and buy it.
Even if the car is overtly expensive.
So that one, Jude, you don't want to sell me that one for that amount, I'll buy it. Not the one that people will use. They even use the last life. You know, they don't want to sell it for that amount. I will check it. But if LNG person in Bonnet, I'll buy it because their car, they don't, on Sunday, just for service alone. They're not even using it, they're using staff force. But things are hard now, you know.
That's what we're talking about. There's a crisis. People can't afford the kind of cars they would like to buy because of Forex, and then there are other things people are complaining about. They say they're not seeing inventory. They're not seeing stock. That's the marketers, the car dealers. They say stock no day. So it's the old cars, probably your car, so you can go and sell your car. You find out how much people will offer.
I can hear you.
Oh dear. Zion is in GR. Zion, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, good morning, Jude.
Good morning.
In this concept, I would say the problem is with the ports.
The ports?
Very corrupt environment.
Interesting.
My brother, if you don't know somebody who you know somebody, you will even regret why you import these goods. If you don't know somebody that knows somebody, there is another group they call the wharf rats. Have you heard them before?
Yes, we have.
These are the people that will pluck up your lamp, your navigator light, your rear mirror, side mirrors. If you are not even lucky, they will even remove your gearbox. So there are people there you have to consult to protect that car for you. Corruption there. Now let's look at the solution. Except the government intervention to start out the policy for car for as in buy and pay later per government policy. If the government can take charge of this, where the civil servants or interested citizens can apply for a car, I can pay for 4 years, I can pay for 3 years, I can pay for 2 years. Now it is the government that have the sole responsibilities to import the cars. The government takes the responsibilities of the charges and the wharf.
But isn't that too much on the government already? People already say, government should do this, government should do pay for fuel, government should make sure we have power, government should do cars that we drive, government.
My brother, even America, it is government that does all those things for the people. They don't even have a wharf issue. What they have is from the manufacturers. From the manufacturers to the car sales. It is the government, not the people. The standards out there, their responsibility just like they are selling their products. But if you are interested, you go with the government policy that you are buying today to pay tomorrow. Do you know why they adopted that? To avoid all these charges on the wharf. And look at us here in Nigeria. We have our naira as our currency, but there are some documents like the M4 form, the LGD form, all these forms, single clarification, verification of goods, all this stuff. You pay in dollars. You pay in dollars here in Nigeria. Why should it be like that? So that is why it is a government intervention. As for you as a business person, the people at the workforce to make money, eye service. We are making money for the government, but they are not remitting all the money to the government. It is being stuck into people's stomach. It is these custom people, or the custom. My brother, that is why people go for tokumbos. As in Mr. Jude won't selling car based on distress sales.
That's what they call it. That's what they call it. Yeah, distress sale. That's what they label it.
Not that I can't import a car, because to avoid those issues. Okay, look at our very good friend Davido. He had to beg for money to clear his car in the wharf. He thought it's a joke. My brother, he know what he was doing, not because he want to feel low or he want the world to know. No, it is because of the clearance. The duties is going to pay. My brother, we need to sanitize that environment. That is the beginning of fighting corruption in Nigeria. And our brothers are working there, are not aliens, our brothers.
All right, Zion says sanitizing that particular sector is going to be the first step in fighting corruption. Now, no government policy will help. People need to adjust their sense of self. I mean, stop attaching their sense of worth to material possessions that others can see so that they can stop being panicked by nonsense. When I'm in Nigeria, I live in Abuja, and I remember years ago, people telling me to get a car I didn't need for sure. You have not asked me if I have a house, but I should go and get a car to impress strangers? I found out that's what a lot of people were doing, and this is really important because it's demand that fuels supply. As long as people keep getting peppered, triggered, or panicked by strangers' opinions of external measure of success, sellers know that there is a market. So yes, sellers will complain and even cut corners to clear those cars at any cost because they know they will sell. It's like BBLs. Talk from today to next year about how dangerous and unnecessary they are. Some women will still rush and get them as soon as a troll calls them lekpa or flat bomb. Stop being triggered by things that don't even matter like that and will actually complicate your life. That's an interesting take from Anonymous. Now, don't be worried about buying a car. You don't need a car to be happy. Do you? Ibiso, welcome back. Good morning to you.
Yes, Jude, I called back.
Yes, please.
Esther, I agree with Mr. Zion.
Okay.
Now, if the government say they want to do this thing for us, we have different characters that at the end of the day, to pay is the problem. Because when, as a civil servant, for example, you are earning 50,000, and you want to pay this thing for 4 years or so. When you are paying, sometimes we even go contrary to the agreement.
To the contract.
And tomorrow they will say that the government want to use their force on them. It's good for the government to do some things, but with the citizens to follow that terms and pay the thing. But we have different attitudes. Even in abroad, some people, they are school that are going. Government are paying and maybe they are remitting it later. But here in Nigeria, that time we say that Jude is from Delta State. You want to oppress me like from River State. You want to use position to oppress me. So, if we apply that method, it's a good idea. Because the cost of bringing your car down is something else, Jude. If you go to Apapa, if you see what is happening there, some people are even selling their cars that they bought.
At the ports, yes.
They will not sell it immediately because of frustration. One customer officer will say, so you go to pay social paper, before you finish paying, if you bought that car for 4 million naira, you are paying almost 10 million naira to clear everything. Where is the joy? No joy, Jude.
That's
allow
a big
the court to
question.
breathe. Thank you.
90.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, please.
Hello.
Good morning. We can hear you. Go on, please.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Can you hear us now?
Hello.
Good morning. Can you hear us? Okay. All right. Do call back. Apologies there. All right. So let me get to read from the cable. All right. And I found this interview, and this is part of the conversation. Very interesting. Now, on the cable newspaper, talking about the data, looking at vehicle imports. Jonathan Nicole, president of the Shippers Association of Nigeria, says the unification of the FX windows and the floating of the naira by the federal government is making it difficult for importers and exporters to operate. Now, he says nobody will violate customs duty for a reasonable duty assessment. If you buy a vehicle of $1,000, which is approximately 600 to 700,000 naira. Well, now we know it got up to 1 million about some weeks ago. Normally, they would use depreciation effect on the vehicle valuation that is no longer there. That's why people will want to break the value down. Now, the customs officials, however, are saying that one of the biggest challenges that they have is from you, the importer, you, the vehicle importer. There are some people will import. Let me use this. Those of you who are watching on Facebook now, they will use this. The car they bought, right? Some of them, and these are some of the tricks I remember we experienced. Some people will cut off the label, right, from the seat belts where the manufacturer put, oh, this car was made in 2016. They cut it off, and then they'll write on the forms that the car is made in 2014. Meanwhile, it's a 2017 or 2018 car, so that they can reduce the cost. And then the customs have to now do proper investigation, look through the VIN number, try and check it out with what the manufacturers have on their database. And when they find out that you have cheated them, is a problem. That some people also would bribe some custom officials so that they don't pay the full clearance, and then they are driving very big vehicles in Lagos, Maseratis, Rolls Royce. Some of them haven't paid, though. Just so you know, it's a big crisis. Christian is speaking to us from Stadium Road. Christian, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, Jude. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
Welcome.
I've looked at the statistics, and the statistics per se have not lied. Either way, either on the side of the NBS or on the side of the car traders, it hasn't lied. It's just that beyond the figure, there are explanatory notes that are written that people have not consumed. Now, the implication of the fact is that people are buying less Belgian cars. They prefer to buy more of Nigerian rotated cars. And why is it that a car, like you said in 2013, that cost, let's say, 1.5 million naira is being sold now 1.5 million naira? The answer is very simple. Look at your forex. Look at the exchange rate.
Yes.
Now, again, I agree with the for all the frustration and corruption. So, going forward, as a solution, what do we do? First, mortgages must be a policy. It's not that efficient, implementable, and well implemented policy of housing. That it will also take corruption. In fact, the minute you carry 10 million naira to pay for a car, you should be suspected to be a thief. I'm not saying it should be confirmed, but you should be suspected to be a thief. There should be mortgages so that people will know how you earn your money.
Okay.
It works in other systems. That's why corruption is a bit reduced. That is number one. Quickly, number two, there should be strong institutions, not strong men. Strong institutions. If the institutions are strong, some of the things happening in the world, people will go to jail. Then our ports should be automated. When human hands are reduced in the application or enforcement of any policy, corruption is also reduced. And now when corruption is reduced, they carry over to the final consumer. The burden is also reduced.
Yes.
Now, again, we should encourage a policy of consuming what we produce. Jude, imagine a situation where now 160 million naira in the minimum is to be used to buy car for one Senate or 1 House of Rep. Is invested in Innosun.
Yeah.
Produces the assembled substance you want to call it.
We have Innocent. There's also, I don't know if you've heard of Nord. There's also Nord in Nigeria as well.
Yes, I'm just using Innocent.
Okay.
All these things are done. Now, the implication is that our production, manufacturing will improve. When it improves, it has many pluses, many advantages. Employment is improved. Your demand dependent on forex is reduced. Your economy will grow. You understand? All those things, and people will go for more. That is the worst of an innocent car is better than the best of a Belgian car. Then what about our roads? Transparency. So these are some of the areas I think that we need to work on, so that way we don't kill ourselves. But to say that car is only for luxury, I disagree. It's a necessity.
It's a necessity.
So depending on the individual case, there are cases where you need the car before even building a house of your own.
Christian, hello, Christian.
I'm there with you.
Just before you depart, thank you very much for your time. Now, your last statement about car being a necessity, for some people, they begin to feel, well, it's no longer a necessity because, they can't afford it. The analogy is pretty, I don't think I can find faults with it. But when you tell somebody who wants to buy a car now, 3 million, and tell him your options are the car that somebody has been using in Nigeria with you for the past 4 years, knowing that just like any other material, there's wear and tear. The person is not going to feel, enthusiastic about buying the car. The person doesn't feel, how am I going to enjoy this car for so long a time and still, have the value for my money? 3 million naira, Christian, I don't know about you, but 3 million naira is not easily come by these days.
Okay, Jude, I completely agree with you. But to say that everything in life is relative. Okay, you are two persons in the house. By the normal car ratio, you are supposed to, if there are two drivable adults, you are supposed to have +1. That is about 3 cars. The reason being that 2 of you can go for your different businesses. And
true.
in the event of a malfunction, a fault, you can drop that one with your mechanic, come back and still go about your business. Now, because the economy is biting, we can say for 2 persons have a car. Now, if you have a car, what do you check? Let your wife go out. Let you go out. You have different businesses, different directions, different daily schedules. Then when you come back, calculate what the family has spent for the 2 of you for a day. Then think of a car whereby sometimes maybe she can drop you halfway or you can drop her halfway and all that. Do those mathematics. Then you will see that it's no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. And again, I said it's an individual case. It does not apply generally. I've had a situation where, from where I stay, I go to Uniport with a particular car, and I was spending about 10 liters, which is about 6 and something.
Yes.
I use commercial vehicle. I spend about 2,000 something. My wife goes out. Then, what is the pain in terms of our stoppages? Don't stop anywhere, do any business. You have to go straight to get to one place, do the treks and all that. So for the day, you are coming back with a deficit of unfulfilled assignments. And maybe they work up with that. So every day, productivity is getting low. So it's a balance. Where you strike off some comfort in terms of a luxury car, and you strike off and buy maybe a fairly used car, at least you can examine to be good, relatively good. Then
It's been a pleasure joining me. All the pleasure to get some great content as we have discussions here on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Now, before the break, let me get to read some comments here. This one here says, Dear Jude, oh yes, everything boils down to government consistency and worthless policies. For instance, if the government sanitizes corruption from head to tail, ostentation will reduce. Second, this Peugeot assembly factory proposed when the plant in Kaduna in 90s. By now, Nigeria ought to be churning out modest cars for Nigerians. Taking cumulatively, let us avoid ostentatious goods. The use the cars we produce take our lives seriously. This is the truth. Jerry Michael from Eagle Island, very true. So the Volkswagen plant in Lagos, I don't know that. Anyway, thank you for joining us on these conversations.
For more talk, news and sports, stay tuned to Nigeria Info.
We'll be after this.
Number 1,000.